What do you do when the man you've defended in court, on TV, and in the group chat turns out to be your biggest enemy in disguise? What happens when your Black Love Goals poster boy becomes the star of a scandal so messy, even Mona Scott had to clutch her pearls? Buckle up, because Yandy Smith, yes, ride or die Yandy just flipped the script, and baby, this ain't your average breakup. After a decade of holding it down, standing by her man through prison time, infidelity, whispers, and more reality show drama than a Netflix binge, sis finally said, "I'm out." But this isn't just about love lost. Oh no, this is about betrayal, ego, silent bank withdrawals, burner phones, and a web of shady business deals that would make even Ghost from Power say, "Damn, bro." So why did Yandy walk away now? What secrets pushed her to slam the door on 10 years of chaos? And what dirty little receipts are leaking faster than Mendeecees' loyalty? Sit tight, because what you're about to hear will have you side-eyeing every power couple on your timeline. Let's get into the mess, because this tea, it's nuclear. When Yandy Smith said "I do," she probably didn't realize she was signing up for 10 years of unpaid emotional labor, private humiliation, and a full-time job cleaning up a man's image with no thank you check in sight. From the outside, they were the couple that made struggle love look like royalty red carpet appearances, curated Instagram captions, and those corny reality show moments that made fans believe in black love like it was gospel. But behind that glossy filter was a decade-long storm of betrayal, indifference, and ego so loud it echoed through every confession booth and camera pan, and the cracks. Oh, they were there from day one, just hiding under the glitter. Because while Yandy was building empires and rocking protest boots, Mendeecees was allegedly busy planting red flags like it was his side hustle. Let's rewind, back to the beginning. The love and hip-hop New York era, where Mendeecees and Yandy first sold us the fantasy. He was the reformed hustler. She was the business-savvy beauty with a heart big enough to carry a whole man's baggage and still look good doing it, but you look close, and you'll see the imbalance from the jump. Yandy wasn't just his partner. She was his manager, his crisis control, his excuse maker, his reputation handler, his everything. And all he had to do was show up, play the role, and keep his mess contained. Spoiler alert, he couldn't even do that. Fans wanted to root for them. They needed a couple to believe in, but when you peel back the layers of that so-called power couple, it's hard to ignore that one person was driving the relationship bus, while the other was just catching a free ride and occasionally yelling out the window. The turning point, oh, it came like a slap wrapped in a velvet glove. That now infamous interview clip where Mendeecees, fresh out of prison, was asked if he would have waited for Yandy the way she waited for him, and what did he say? "I don't know." Just like that. 5 years of loyalty, silence, struggle, and solo parenting dismissed with 3 pathetic words. The internet didn't just react, it exploded. Twitter launched a manhunt for the last shred of respect he had left. TikTokers turned into body language experts. YouTubers dragged out old clips like receipts at a tax audit. Because that one sentence, that careless little shrug, exposed the truth we all suspected. He was never fully invested, not in her, not in them, not in anything but his own comeback arc. And that's when the fans started digging. And what they found, oh, baby, the tea was boiling. They went back through the archives, through old LHH episodes, Instagram posts, interviews, and started piecing together a pattern. The missed glances, the backhanded compliments, the way he always seemed slightly irritated when she took the spotlight, even though she was the reason they had a spotlight to begin with. Mendeecees didn't just benefit from Yandy's love, he weaponized it. He knew she would hold it down. He knew she would stay loyal. And he knew she would never be the first to expose the cracks. So he kept smiling for the cameras while allegedly sliding into other women's messages behind the scenes. And let's not pretend the streets were quiet either. Rumors had been circulating for years. Anonymous blogs dropping hints, sources close to production whispering that things weren't what they seemed. People who saw too much during filming. DMs that mysteriously surfaced only to disappear just as fast. Allegations that he was flirting while locked up, and even bolder, while out. But Yandy, she kept it cute. She kept it professional. She posted motivational captions and family photos, all while dodging the emotional landmines he kept planting like clockwork. Then came Marriage Boot Camp. And if Love and Hip Hop was the dream, that show was the wake-up call. Because in one gut of an episode, Yandy sat there calm but visibly cracked, and admitted she felt unprotected and unloved. The same woman who had fought for prison reform, raised their children, defended his name like it was her own brand, was now sitting in front of a therapist wondering if the man she'd given everything to even liked her. And the worst part, when asked if he'd been faithful, Mendeecees looked down, shuffled his feet, and said, "I've done some things I'm not proud of." That moment wasn't just TV, that was emotional carnage. It was every loyal woman's fear being confirmed. In one sigh, he wasn't loyal, he wasn't grateful, and he never was. Yandy, for all her class and composure, was left holding the weight of a one-sided love story, and the audience. They weren't stupid. They saw the change. They saw her stop tagging him in posts. They saw the family portraits turn into solo shots. They read between the cryptic captions and noticed when her ring suddenly went missing from her hand, but not a word was said. Then came the townhouse, the luxury corner unit in Atlanta, purchased with her own name on the deed and his name nowhere to be found. A quiet move, a whisper in the storm. But for those paying attention, it was a scream. It was the soft launch of singlehood done in silence. And word from someone close to her team said she made that purchase not just to start over but to protect her assets. Because even the smartest, strongest women get tired of being the only grown-up in a marriage built on borrowed loyalty. What's worse is that Mendeecees allegedly didn't even know she was done. Sources claim he found out the same way we all did, by watching her moves and realizing the silence wasn't just exhaustion, it was an exit strategy. The calls started going unanswered. The FaceTimes with the kids got fewer. The excuses got colder. And when he finally tried to confront her, she gave him the death line of every woman who's already mentally gone: "I just need space." And in the reality TV world, space doesn't mean reconciliation. It means a production crew is already preparing the reunion stage. Because behind the scenes, the reunion was pure frost. Producers tried to sit them next to each other for a friendly photo op. Yandy declined. She wasn't in the mood. And Mendeecees, looking like a man left out of the loop of his own storyline, was overheard asking someone, "Yo, is she serious? Right now?" As if he hadn't just spent years turning her love into a publicity stunt. And then, like clockwork, the internet did what it does best. They dug deeper. They posted side-by-sides. They pulled up interviews, and suddenly, people weren't just rooting for Yandy, they were rallying for her. Comments flooded in saying, "Sis held it down too long. She should have left years ago." And the classic, "Imagine going through all that just to end up alone anyway." But Yandy wasn't alone. She was finally free. Free from pretending. Free from explaining. Free from building a castle around a man who couldn't even bring bricks. And the world saw it. And just when the dust was starting to settle, and fans thought maybe this was just another reality show storyline destined to quietly fade behind a new cast scandal, Yandy began moving like a woman who wasn't just done. She was dismantling everything she built with precision. No rage, no public outbursts, just cold, calculated strategy. See, this wasn't heartbreak. This was reconstruction. Word got out that not only had she purchased her new home solo, but that she was quietly untangling herself from every joint venture they had together. Business accounts frozen, shared partnerships reassigned. Behind the scenes, whispers started flying about how she'd been preparing this escape for months, maybe even years. And you know what's even crazier? According to a stylist who worked with her on a recent campaign shoot, Yandy didn't even flinch when asked about Mendeecees. She just smiled, adjusted her crown, and said, "Sometimes peace costs more than pride." That one sentence sent shivers down people's timelines. Because if there's one thing the internet loves more than scandal, it's a woman choosing herself in silence. But while Yandy was playing chess, Mendeecees was playing catch-up. Sources close to his camp claimed he was confused, even blindsided. Apparently, he really thought she would always be there, no matter how many times he forgot to show up for her. So what does a man like that do when he feels the empire slipping through his fingers? He tries to rewrite the narrative. First came the podcast tour. Yes, Mendeecees popped up on 2, maybe 3 minor shows, with dim lighting and dollar store microphones, trying to explain himself. He spoke in circles about how marriage is hard, how Yandy changed after fame, and how people grow apart. But the audience wasn't buying it. Not after everything she endured. Not after the clip. Not after the rumors. Every excuse just sounded like recycled nonsense dressed up in fake growth. But the moment that really had folks shaking their heads was when he reportedly said, "Yandy wasn't the same woman I married. And baby," people were quick to respond, "she had to evolve because you refused to." Meanwhile, The gossip blogs were eating this up. One page claimed an anonymous tipster emailed screenshots of Mendeecees allegedly planning his own version of an image rehab tour complete with a digital series, unseen footage, and even a diss track. Yes, you heard that right, a diss track. Titled Red Flags and Receipts. And if that wasn't embarrassing enough, word on the street was that he was planning to co-produce it with none other than Lil Scrappy, as if this was some kind of hip-hop, Heartbreak Avengers initiative. The audacity. The desperation. It was loud and unbothered, but Yandy didn't clap back. She didn't post cryptic messages or subliminals. She let the silence speak for her. Until that one Nowdly interview dropped. A sit-down with a women's empowerment podcast where she never mentioned Mendeecees by name, but she didn't have to. Because when she said, sometimes you spend years building with someone, only to realize they were only there for the blueprint, not the house, it hit the internet like a sledgehammer. Twitter threads were born. TikTokers broke it down like it was Shakespeare. YouTubers filmed whole documentaries in dim lighting, whispering like they were uncovering a crime scene. But the biggest clue that this wasn't just a breakaway was the money trail. Word started spreading that Mendeecees had allegedly been dipping into their joint accounts, treating them like a personal ATM. One source claimed spot trips, sneaker drops, and even investments into a failed Miami hookah lounge were all charged under business expenses. But Yandy, she kept the books. And baby, her receipts were digital, backed up, and alphabetized. A leaked voice memo surfaced from a woman claiming to be Yandy's cousin, saying, "Girl, he thought he was slick, booking massages at M like they were meetings." And then he tried to lie like he wasn't there alone. And allegedly, Yandy had the footage, the paper trail, even a testimony from the therapist confirming he arrived solo. No assistant. No business partner. Just vibes and essential oils. That wasn't healing. That was hiding. And people finally began to understand the depth of what she had endured. It wasn't just emotional betrayal, it was financial recklessness, public disrespect, and years of covering up someone else's mess just to keep the narrative alive. But now that narrative was collapsing. Fans noticed Yandy's Instagram getting real quiet when it came to family updates. No more family dinner reels. No more couples vacation content. Just her, glowing in soft lighting, walking through her new space, captioning things like "New beginnings don't need permission," and while some followers were still clinging to the hope of reconciliation, others were cheering her on like she just walked out of a burning house and still. But if you thought it stopped there, oh no. Because while Yandy was handling her business, the rumors started flying about Mendeecees and his own legal mess. Unconfirmed reports began circulating that some of the properties tied to their names had suspicious LLCs attached. Documents began to surface fuzzy screenshots, watermarked to filth, but damning nonetheless. One fake-sounding business account allegedly linked back to a shell company with Yandy listed as a silent partner. Silent, because she didn't even know she was on the paperwork. Fans online went into full detective mode. TikTok videos analyzing font styles and comma placement, threads pulling county records, YouTube essays breaking down time. Everyone wanted to know, was Mendeecees really using Yandy, not just emotionally, but legally? Because if that's true, then this breakup wasn't just overdue, it was her rescue mission. One anonymous source even claimed the feds had been quietly watching Mendeecees since his release. Certain business dealings allegedly violated the terms of his parole, and a whistleblower from the parole board who conveniently appeared on an IG Live wearing a ski mask claimed he wasn't supposed to be involved in any ventures that weren't court-approved. And guess what? If true, he could be facing another sentence. Meanwhile, paparazzi caught Yandy walking into a law office in Manhattan. No captions, no smiles. Just that same focused walk women have when they're about to clean house. Not emotionally, legally, and fans saw it. They knew. She wasn't just leaving, she was about to burn the whole blueprint. What came next wasn't a press release or a social media announcement, it was a calculated move that turned the entire internet upside down. Yandy had been quiet for too long, and when she finally made her next move, it was nothing short of surgical. Reports surfaced that she had begun filing for full legal custody of their children behind closed doors. No drama, no back and forth on Instagram, just cold paperwork and airtight documentation. Insiders whispered that her reasoning included concerns about Mendeecees' erratic financial behavior, unstable business dealings, and emotional inconsistency. And while he tried to paint himself as the more present parent in interviews, the truth was spilling faster than he could spin it. There were rumors he missed school events, FaceTimed the kids less frequently, and was more present in Atlanta clubs than in bedtime routines. And that was just the beginning. Because just when fans thought they had the whole picture, another layer peeled back. An anonymous former business associate leaked emails allegedly showing Mendeecees moving funds from joint ventures into personal accounts and using burner Gmail addresses to discuss off-the-record meetings with a PR consultant based out of Buckhead. These weren't just business consultations, they were strategic planning sessions to craft his post-Yandy image. The leaked documents revealed keyword-laced outlines titled Protecting Legacy, Controlling the Narrative, and, unbelievably, Damage Control Plan B. And if that wasn't shady enough, screenshots began popping up of texts where he allegedly referred to Yandy as the brand rather than my wife. Those two words alone were like kerosene on a fire that was already out of control. Social media had a field day. TikTokers were editing clips of him talking about marriage while overlaying them with clown music. Twitter was tearing into him with meme threads so brutal they made the shade room look like Sunday school. Meanwhile, Yandy kept doing what she always did, handled it like a boss. But behind the scenes, she wasn't just moving on emotionally, she was flipping the entire script. Word began to circulate that she had already begun developing a documentary series, titled Unshackled, The Real Yandy Story. Producers were allegedly already attached, with talks of cameo appearances by other Love and Hip Hop alumni like Erica Mena, Kimbella, and even Remy Ma. The goal wasn't revenge, it was revelation. She was going to walk the audience through the empire she built, the lies she uncovered, and the resilience it took to walk away without torching it all publicly. But fans were divided. While many cheered her on and called it long overdue, others accused her of being calculated and opportunistic. Some said she was exploiting the situation to boost her brand. But let's be honest, if a man can drop a diss track after cheating scandals and failed businesses, surely the woman who held everything together has earned the right to tell her truth, especially when she did it without throwing a single drink, airing out private drama on live, or posting bitter quote graphics, like half the cast tends to do. She kept it classy, she kept it clean, but now, she was finally keeping it real. On the other side of the chaos, Mendeecees was allegedly scrambling. Word on the curb was that Mona Scott was trying to lock them both into spin-off contracts before the media storm got too wild. She wanted the drama on VH1, not leaking out in podcast episodes and Instagram stories. There were even talks that he had been approached to star in his own reality redemption arcs, something like From the Block to Back Again, a digital series tracking his journey post-split. And yes, there were rumors of a possible music video drop from his little passion project, Red Flags and Receipts. Insiders say he was spotted in a studio with an unknown Atlanta rapper trying to craft verses about betrayal and fame. And, while the bars might have been weak, the desperation was strong. But here's where the whole thing hits another level. According to one unconfirmed report, federal investigators had taken an interest in his business dealings. Allegedly, some of the properties tied to Mendeecees' name were part of a larger shell company structure based in the Virgin Islands. One TikToker even posted a full county clerk deep dive tracing a real estate trail that led to a company name, eerily similar to a nickname Mendeecees once used on a mixtape. The theories were flying, but the evidence was unsettling. Because if there's even a sliver of truth to it, that means Yandy didn't just leave a toxic marriage, she escaped a potential legal disaster. And as all of this unfolded, she made one final quiet move that spoke louder than any quote or interview. She unfollowed him, deleted all trace of their shared life from her grid, then posted a black and white photo of herself walking into a courthouse in a long trench coat and heels. No caption, no location tag, just the image. The internet lit up like a Christmas tree. Fans knew what it meant. She wasn't waiting anymore. She wasn't hesitating. She was finishing it. This was the paperwork stage, the courtroom stage, the I don't owe you an explanation stage. And honestly, it was poetic, because in a world where women are constantly expected to forgive, to endure, to stay for the sake of appearances, Yandy Smith chose peace over pretense. And she did it without ever needing to raise her voice. Meanwhile, Mendeecees was left spinning in a whirlwind of his own creation, trying to salvage image, reputation, and relevance all at once. But the internet had already chosen its side. And in the comment sections, in the reaction videos, in the forums, one message echoed loudest: she was too loyal for too long. Now, she was loyal to herself. Hugh, if your jaw ain't on the floor right now, were you even paying attention? Because what we just unpacked wasn't a simple breakup, it was a masterclass in silent strength, strategic escape, and emotional evolution. Yandy Smith didn't just walk away from a man, she walked away from a decade of betrayal, manipulation, and gaslighting, with receipts in one hand and her crown in the other. But now it's your turn. What do you think? Was Yandy always the brains behind the brand, while Mendeecees just coasted? Or was this all one big reality TV illusion that finally cracked under the pressure of real life? Do you believe the legal tea is about to spill in full force? Or will this whole thing get swept under the rug by Mona and the editing team? Drop your wildest theories and spiciest takes in the comments. Let's get messy. And if you're here for the drama, the breakdowns, the exposés, and the truth that reality TV tries to hide, then baby, smash that like button, hit that subscribe, and turn on your notifications, because we're not done yet. This isn't just gossip, it's history in the making. And trust, the next twist, you'll hear it here first. Stay woke, stay loud, and keep sipping that tea.